Come on, baby.
The gas.
Yeah, gas is good.
Oh, here you go. Here's the heating.
Oh, wow. She's alive. Guys, I just cleaned the buns out of the studio. I'm so amped. You saw finally I have heat. It's been like 2 months since that unit got put in and finally there's heat. It's tremendous, but you know, the studio was so dirty, unusable almost for a month. And I took the whole day to clean it. I'm filming at night now, by the way, so that the windows aren't overexposed, but I want to do a little pan of this whole room because it's just immaculate. I don't think the studio has ever been this clean. So I'll take you hopefully on a nice tour. Maybe you can't even tell through the video, it just looks normal, but I vacuumed, I scrubbed, I picked up trash, I rearranged, and it's just really, really clean right now. I'm super amped about it. I'm so OCD about it, I love cleaning, it feels great. This room is cleaner, it still has a lot of work. I mean, this section is like the tool zone woodworking, so that kind of just stays messy with the tools. The photo studio, it changes per project, but you know, the drop will come down, those lights are get moved for when I paint. I hung up that painting. It's all just a little more organized. I'm so amped, I feel good. But we're gonna come back tomorrow morning and we're gonna do like just a day in the studio. That's this video. Not necessarily work on one painting or one project. There's a lot I do in the studio and I thought it'd be interesting. People always ask about studio stuff, so we're just gonna do a day in the studio, day in the life. You know, I got a lot of work. We're gonna take some photos, we're gonna paint, we're gonna do a bunch of crazy stuff. So let's get tomorrow. Back in the studio just like that the next day. I usually work on about 2 to 3 videos simultaneously, different painting projects, bigger projects that take longer. Commissions I don't always film because they're not interesting and I don't make videos. But you know, my day usually consists of doing weird things, working predominantly throughout the day on one project, and then I go home 6 or 7 at night and I edit for at least 2 to 3 hours pretty much every single day, or else I would get really behind on editing. So today we're doing more kind of not working on one specific huge project. There's little things that you have to do that I need to do. For example, doing digital assets, doing photos of a couple of these huge paintings that I haven't taken high quality photos of that are important to me, archiving my projects. I want to make prints someday soon. This painting I finished recently, if you saw that video, oil painting, haven't taken photos of that. Also want to varnish it. People ask about varnish all the time, so we're gonna do that. That's real easy. Other little things we're gonna do, I'm gonna take you around just a day in the studio. We also have this amazing canvas I stretched. We'll talk about it. It's a project I'm working on. It's gonna be an amazing video, but we're not gonna do the video today. We're just gonna talk about it, prep it a little, and yeah. So yeah, this is a huge upgrade to the studio I did recently. If you saw a video, putting this like photo studio in, and it's important because I do a bunch of digital content, and this is just a great resource to have. A nice backdrop with some nice lights. I just realized I could just keep this back here and I don't need to move it because the paper will cover it, like so. Alright, that's one. And the trick here is just like pretty much 45 degrees. 2 lights, 45 degrees. And I could change it around. This is just what I'm doing right now. Boom. Let me bring this guy. Oy. There we go. This isn't a tutorial how to take photos of paintings. I'm no professional photography. I've been around the block and I've done it a good amount, so you know, I understand light and I have a completely manual camera and I've been doing it for a few years, but pretty much you just want, you know, the painting to be perfectly 90 degrees perpendicular to the lens so that there's no distortion. You know, obviously there's going to be a little, it won't be perfect, and you fix a lot of it in post-production on the software. I use like Lightroom or Photoshop, you know, pretty standard, but you know, you just want to make sure that you're trying to get everything centered and lined up, and you could use the grid under camera, but you know, this is pretty fun and it's good to have high quality stuff. So let's lower this, because these paintings are huge. And this is a super, super old painting. Like, this is almost 2 years old, I believe. Actually, could be almost 3. So we got, boom. So we're gonna go like this. All right, so it's a little off kilter. So yeah, it's just a little off kilter. There we go. I think that looks good. Oh, and just like that, I'm on the GH4 now. This camera started it all for me. This is the GH5 that I've been using recently. I upgraded about 4 or 5 months ago. And they're both great. You know, again, this isn't some tutorial, but people are interested. I use the GH5, GH4. My opinion, they're the best YouTuber run and gun camera. They take fine photos, amazing videos, the longest battery. They got the flip out screen. Let me just put this in real quick. Let's see if I can do this with one hand. And yeah, I've acquired a bunch of lenses over the years, and I got a speed booster, which I'm using on the GH4 now, which enables me to use Canon glass. This is all complicated stuff if you don't know cameras, but flip out screen. I take cameras with a GH5 because it has more megapixels. It's just a little nicer. Again, not to be a tutorial, but like photos, you don't want to shoot with a wide lens. This is a micro four thirds camera, and I'm shooting at 35 millimeters with this lens. It's about 50, a little more than 50 maybe, so I gotta back this bad boy up. And yeah, so we're just gonna take some photos. I guess I'll put this somewhere, maybe right here. That's kind of a sexy shot. Or like right here. Let's go. So something that I think is worth noting is kind of like my success on YouTube and selling paintings and being a freelance videographer, I think has a lot to do with my digital skills. I'm pretty proficient in Photoshop, Lightroom, Illustrator, and I am a huge camera videographer, cinematography enthusiast, and that just in terms of branding my paintings and, you know, how it looks online. I think that's what's helped me a lot, and I love it. And if you're interested in anything I do, people ask me all the time on Instagram. I would suggest trying to develop some, you know, digital skills, and that's such a blanket statement. It needs some context, but pretty much like, you know, cameras are expensive. Everything here is pretty expensive, and it's taken me years to get these things. But I think it's important in this day and age, and if you're serious about going through this track, whatever it may be, starting a company, start doing anything, you know, being able to understand how to use a camera, video camera, take photos, and then, you know, use the softwares to make them look pretty and to upload them, and all these digital endeavors. You know, I think it's something to invest in, and if you're young, which a lot of people who hit me up are, I think that's something to slowly get into. It's not going to happen overnight, obviously, like everyone wants it to, but, you know, start with a cheaper camera, get good at it, get proficient, wait a year, upgrade, keep working on it. These things, that's all I gotta say. I'm all lined up. I'm taking raw photos. Obviously, raw photos, there's more information to edit later. First one in the bag. Next painting. These are two of my favorite paintings. They're absolutely massive. I'm trying to make prints of these because people also seem to like them. So for those of you asking, I am making prints in the near future. Stay tuned. This is part of the process right now, actually. Wow, it looks so nice on camera. I'll show you all these photos obviously in this video because I think they're gonna look nice. All right, so actually before we take photos of this, you know, it needs to be varnished, because what happens after oil paint dries is the blacks and the colors kind of fade. The blacks get a little lighter, and it fades a little, you know. And what varnish does, traditionally you've heard people say, oh, we wait 6 months for it to dry, and then they use a Dammar, D-A-M-M-A-R varnish traditionally, and varnishes bring back the blacks, it brings back the color. Usually it's a gloss, finish, and it's also a sealant protective layer for the oil paint. But 6 months is crazy, especially of commissions. They have this thing, varnish now, which you could wait like 3 days for it to dry. This is bone dry right now. And this takes like 20 minutes to dry. People also are concerned with yellowing patinas on the other old traditional varnish. After like 50 or 100 years, archival, what's going to be the best. Hopefully we'll get a sexy shot so you can see, the paint come back to life. You see that varnish porn on Instagram or something. It's pretty epic. So let's set up a nice shot. You really don't need much. This is a synthetic, super cheap synthetic brush. It's like $1.50, maybe $2. I got to get a little petri dish. And, this little bottle I've had for maybe over a year, and I don't know how much, it's like that filled, and a little goes a long way with this stuff. So you don't glob it on like I think the other varnish. This is like very little, hardly poured any in. And what you want to do is you want to get your brush loaded with it, but then you kind of want to wipe it down and you kind of rub it in, Let me get a zoomed in shot, but this is pretty as simple as it gets. I'll move it towards you guys so you can see the face. Hopefully this will be a good shot and you can see the life come back to it. So you're gonna really see it right here with the dark, so. Oh! There will be some of those bubbles, but they will pop. Those blacks just immediately come back. And who knows, maybe I'm not doing this 100% right. Maybe one of you in the comments will completely school me, but this is how I learned through my oil painting teacher. And oil paint is super durable, so you're never gonna ruin it once it's like fully dry. This is just that glossy protective layer. And that's all she wrote. You can see there's definitely gloss now, but it's still drying, but give it like 20 minutes. And I might even do a second layer just to be saucy. Oh, that's rad. So I thought it'd be interesting. This is dry, by the way, about 15 minutes per layer to dry. I did 2 layer, but I thought it'd be interesting to show you that's an oil painting. Use the varnish, but this is an acrylic painting, and you wouldn't use this to varnish an acrylic painting. Now, I don't know if you could see this. I'll try to bring it in closer. Actually, I don't know if the camera picks it up, but in person, there's a lot of streaks on this one. I varnished this one. This is a cool painting, but I used this. This is gloss medium varnish, Liquitex for, acrylic. I'm wondering if you could use this for oils. I don't think so. Definitely for acrylic. And it works great. It's a wonderful, subtle, glossy finish. This is one of the first times I tried it, and I messed up completely the, just the way I applied it. So yeah, I thought I'd explain that. But righto, let's go take some photos of this. Because it's glossy now, it's going to be a little more difficult to photograph because of the glare. But we're going to make it saucy. Whoa. Obviously I had to move in. It's a smaller painting, but there's glare here. So what I'm going to do is move these really to the sides of this painting. That usually helps. Let us see. Oh yeah, absolutely, completely removed. I mean, there's gonna be a little, there's, oil painting, the the texture of it, if it's not super smooth, if there's ruffles in the paint when it dries, those are all gonna catch light, and that's why people use those fan brushes to get those creases out. I personally don't mind. I like texture, but obviously photographing them, you're gonna see these micro reflections of the ruffles of paint that reflect the light. But this looks pretty dang good. I'm actually excited because, it's hard to get gloss good on Camera. All right. I think we got it. And it wasn't a good one. As you can see, you know, there's a lot of glare. It didn't look as bad on the camera, but putting it on the computer, the glare is just too much. It takes away from the painting. There's other techniques that I probably could have tried. I might try later where like the light is directly above it. And so that just that singular light above it kind of removes perhaps those side glares. I don't know. Maybe it would have been a better idea to take a picture before I varnished it. That's something to think about moving forward. But I'm going to call the video here. Hopefully you enjoyed this video. I don't know. I wanted to try it out. Something different, a longer, kind of slower pace. No heavy editing, you know, no cuts. Not really much music. Just chilling in the studio, getting some work done, talking a lot. You know, we'll see how people respond, but let me know what you thought. You know, if you stayed to the end of the video, this longer video, I love you. Let me know by saying we got weird again. You know, I love when people do that, and it's interesting to see if people stay the whole time, because sometimes longer videos are boring. I don't know, but, you know, stay tuned because I got so many projects lined up. 2020 has started off really epic. I'm super amped about all the stuff I have planned and the videos I'm making, the paintings, whatever. So follow me on Instagram if you want to stay up to date. Subscribe, like the video if you enjoyed. That's all I got. See ya in the next one.